text someone. I really encourage you right now. If you know someone that's in business right now, check on them.
Welcome to Seekers Focus. Voices leading change.
By the time this rolls around, it'll be nearly halfway through the year, halfway through 2025, halfway through what has been a pretty tough year financially for a lot of people, and it is a very tough economic climate out there. I'm here to talk to you and just to remind you about some of the things, some of the aspects that are important, that will help try to keep your mentality above water and hopefully alleviate some of the stress you might be carrying when dealing with a year like 2025. The first thing I want to encourage you to do, go out and connect with your people. Go and sit in the trenches with them, go and listen to them, and ultimately ask them what they think. Figure out what it is that they can tell you that could potentially improve you or your situation or your business's situation. A good example for me is connecting with people about their children. You know, for those parents out there that are business owners as well, you're often doing lots, and your kids ground you, and you're doing it for your kids and things like that. So when you are out there with your people, finding ways to find that mutual ground again and being able to talk to them about what's going on can help bring you back to what really centers you, what really helps you, and what really ensures that you're feeling like you're getting ahead and kicking some goals. Also, your people know what's going on. They're on the coalface. They're the ones who will be able to tell you what you potentially could be trying in these tough times. They're the ones who will know what customers really, really want, what customers like. They will also be able to tell you what they want, what they need, and how we can help them win. And it's an important conversation. So I really encourage you to get out and connect with your people. The second thing is, and one thing we're really passionate about at Future Focus, is really focus on your leaders. And what that means is go in and have conversations about their leadership. We use John Maxwell's work, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. We used that last year, and it was such a powerful binder, because what it gave us opportunity to do was to dig into where we were strong, where we needed work, why we needed work on those areas, why we were so strong in those areas. And it allowed us to really get under the lid of what was needed for the leaders to really excel. Using that example of the lid, one of the laws of John Maxwell's work is the law of the lid. And the lid means that when people are operating at a certain level, that they can only attract those sorts of people that are at or under that lid. So for example, if you're a level 4 leader out of 10, there's no way to attract a level 5 or 6 or 8 if you're a level 4, because ultimately those people will come in and find you out. So that was one way that we worked on our teams, on our people, and we're able to build those conversations that really, really accelerated some of their growth. It allowed us to continue to talk through some of the problem solving that we needed to do to ensure that we were achieving our financial success and achieving that success of environments that help people win. But ultimately, it's just a chance to really level up that group of people that are out there working with your people. We meet every week, or most weeks. The council meets and we talk through things. We highlight all the great things. We talk through what some of the issues are. We talk through growth. But one big practice that is very evident with us, that has become a system, is grounded with gratitude. This system was built on the fact that what we want to do is start our hui knowing what we are grateful for. Gratitude is a very powerful way of just recentering yourself again. When you're grateful for those things that are going on in your life, when feels like it's not going really well, when you are grateful for those things that are real consistent and common in your life, like for me, being a husband, being a dad, those sorts of things really bring us back to our center and allow us to relax a wee bit. They allow us to really breathe and actually have a little bit of a celebration for those cool things that are going on in your life. We structure some of those grounded with gratitudes with different things. Could be something like grounded with gratitude focused on a work win, or grounded with gratitude focused on a win with one of your team members, or some of the growth that you've been through, or the learnings, or something like that. But ultimately, what it gives us a chance to do is really reflect, start from a real safe position, and the momentum we get from that is actually really, really cool. It allows us to really start the meeting at a real neutral spot, feeling grateful for how we're feeling, and ultimately carry on digging into some of the other stuff that's important for the success of the business. One thing that I also want to really encourage for those leaders is that you are actually taking time out to recover. Recover your mind, your body, your soul. Recover your energies. It's so important. I used to coach weightlifting, and in our sport, when we're not, New Zealand isn't on those special substances that some of the Eastern European countries are on. But in our sport, it wasn't just as good as how good you could train. It was actually really about how well you recovered. If you weren't sleeping, if you weren't eating, if you weren't lowering your stress levels, and actually I believe stress was the biggest factor on a lot of lifters, then it was very hard to ask someone to perform, especially under pressure. What does recovery look like? For me, personally, I really like waking up in the morning doing something for myself. At the moment, I'm out there because I've picked up a few winter kgs, so I need to go out and walk that all off, and maybe too many Warriors wins to celebrate. I need to go out there and walk that off, but also I've actually really committed to walking around in silence a wee bit and just making sure I'm listening to my thoughts. I love walking down Papamore Beach Road, and I hear the waves crashing, and I can feel the wind and hear the sounds. I like being in my own head and really just talking to myself around what's going on, what I'm thinking through, and really try to iron out some of those creases of things that I may not have had clarity on. Reading. Reading's a really important part of my day. I love reading. I love reading books on business. I love reading books on leadership. I love reading books on personal growth. And those sorts of books are another way for me to ensure that I'm continuing to work hard on myself, so that when push does come to shove and when there is stressful times, I actually know that I can go and lean on those people. And I actually treat some of those authors, especially some of the big ones, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn's work. I really loved all the stuff from about Steve Jobs, Creative Inc., Build, Tony Fadell, those sorts of books. I actually feel like they're part of my backup team. Yes, they're not there in person, but their lessons are there. And I feel like I revisit some of those lessons, I revisit some of that stuff, and it gives me another shot of energy that I might need when I'm feeling a bit frustrated or down or lacking a little bit of direction in the day. It's a good way to spend the day. It's always an investment in yourself, and ultimately, it's just a nice way to continue to grow your knowledge and evolve in your capacities and capabilities. The other thing I do might be a little bit mad. I swim. I go in the ocean. It was wild today. It was really wild. In fact, my daughter was like, I don't know if you should go out in that. So she came down and watched me just in case. But I love the connection to the ocean. Truth be told, a couple of years ago, I was actually terrified of it. My good mate Russ, he taught me through some breathing work, and actually I go in and I do this pattern of breathing. I get these big deep breaths going in before I go into the water. Often I'm humming some sort of song to myself, and I walk into that water, don't even really feel the cold, and I just dive right in, and it's crazy how much energy that place brings me, how much of a surge in great powerful energy it brings to my soul, to my wairua. And ultimately it grounds me, because I feel like I'm a little speck in this giant thing that could end my life if it wanted to, I guess. But ultimately I'm just part of this beautiful place we call Earth. That is a 10-minute routine. And do I get flustered if I don't do it? No. There are times where I don't do it, but most of the days I generally get out and do it. And it is a very powerful way to just really connect yourself with the earth, to feel your feet in the ground, and ultimately just go into what is a powerful surge of energy in the ocean. The last thing, journaling. I know this sounds weird, and I'm not asking you to write a page, missing a line like you did at primary school and worry about your handwriting. If you picked up my journals, you'd realize you couldn't read bugger all of what I write anyway. But journaling is a really powerful way to just figure out what's going on. If I'm feeling a little bit of anxiety, often my anxiety disappears when I write it down, because I can logically look back at my notes and think, actually, that's not really a concern. I like to draw and I like to write, and I take things out of books, or I hear something on a podcast and I write it in a title and I come back to it and I journal on that thing. I journal on what it makes me feel. I journal on why that's important to me. I journal on it if that's something that I should be implementing. I journal on it if it's something that I should be sharing. I often take some of the stuff that I write out of the journals and I share it with the people that mean the most to me. I share it with Courtney, I share it with the kids, I share it with Ash, I share it with people that really mean a lot to me, because ultimately what it is me just gathering my thoughts in an unhurried, unpressured way. It's very, very authentic because it's actually coming out from my heart generally. You generally don't lie to yourself while writing on a piece of paper. And ultimately, it's something that I will get to pass on to my children down the line, and they can see how batshit crazy their old man was and how terrible his writing was. But it is a real critical piece to my routine that allows me just to decompress a little bit around what's going on in my head. I know it's tough. Lean on people. Go to your networks. Text someone. I really encourage you right now. If you know someone that's in business right now, check on them. Text them. Go and say to them, hey, how are you going? Is there anything I can do? Is there any way I can serve? Any way I can help? Go and ask them, go and find out how they really are. Organize a coffee, a beer, a toasted sandwich, some KFC, whatever it is you want to do, that you get to sit down with someone, that you get to talk through with them and just check in. And what you also will probably find out is that you needed to check in too. When you sit in those spaces and you be a little bit vulnerable and you get to share what's going on, everyone wins. Everyone wins. So I want to encourage you really to just go out there, send a text message, send an email, ring someone, check in on them, and just make sure that everyone in this tough economic times is doing okay and knows that you're there to support them. Up the wires.